the movement material came out of a lot of experimentation, using different stimuli for movement. So, for example, I filmed a person doing gestures as they spoke about a place in their memory, a physical work of architecture, and then from their gestures I extrapolated the movement and made it into a movement phrase. I took the gestures and I made movement out of it. So another improvisational exercise was having a person have a memory of a place that they were in and to start to imagine that place and move about that place, and that movement became part of the solo in the beginning. Another one was having someone create spatial forms in space and allowing them to interact with those forms like if they were three-dimensional objects, architectural objects. Another movement invention exercise was improvising about the memory of a place, actually moving through that place and describing the things that I saw in that memory. So all these pieces of improvisation and movement invention and phrase building came together to form a solo which moves into the trio, which moves into the duet. So the movement seems to be, to me, it seems quite architectural and structural, describing form and space, except for the beginning where it's more about the emotion behind a memory of a place. So I'm having these two elements, seemingly opposing elements, communicate with each other in this dance. I sort of tried to be a bit loose in how I use the movements, trying to let go of the meaning or the thesis behind it at times. Yes, I would like the audience to feel connected to the movements and sort of see like a sculptural unfurling happening in the dance. The dances themselves are it's meant to be more like a moving meditation where the movement right now is quite slow. So it's about really feeling each movement and having a flowing cycle of movement as they go through it. But also to sort of design the space on stage with movement, with people. How's the space change when there are 3 people versus 2 people versus 1 person, and depending on what they're doing. In terms of the soundscape, the wind chimes in the beginning is meant to evoke this relaxing feeling of being in a certain space, and then this sort of spiritual aspect of space and how one feels connected to places. Then the background noises that you're hearing with like the kettle and someone's drinking coffee and doors slamming, and so that's more of reminiscent of a place that you might imagine yourself being in during your childhood. Because most people, when I ask them to describe a place, they describe something from childhood or growing up in significant places like that. So then the voices that came in, those were people describing those memories to me. And it's interesting how the text overlaid with the movement puts meaning in the movement. and then the third song is more of an instrumental song. To me, it evokes that comfort in a place, that it tells a story about that place. That's why I chose that music. Where I take this dance from here is that I will definitely continue inventing movement, working with different people, bringing out how they move about, how they dance about architecture. So different people dancing about architecture, and myself providing that material, and then composing it into a dance that becomes as though you're moving through the rooms of a building. That's what I'd like it to be, like you're moving through the building, and the building has a function, and these separate rooms have different feelings about them, evokes different meaning and feeling and dynamics. But I definitely want to keep working with a duet and have some partnering happening. This idea of someone recounting a memory of a place and someone interpreting that memory with their imagination, how those two things differ, how they're similar. So yeah, it's an amazing process just of creation, all these elements that go into making a group dance. Trying to not be too worried about not relaying the message, but allowing it to take its form, let the dance be what it wants to be,